So the first thing you do is you flatten it. Well, zip it. And you're going to get your supplies out of the way. You can press back and forth to kind of flatten it some more, but whatever you do, guys, do not crumple it over top of itself, because if you crumple it over top of itself, it'll make air pockets. Notice my hands are actually on the wheel and not on the handles.
Those are like super wobbly.
Yeah, it'll make it wobbly. So I'm just rolling across the top, and eventually, as it gets thinner, I am going to touch these wood slats here, and it won't allow me to go any thinner than the thickness of the wood strips, which is exactly what we want. We don't want it too thin. This is what you want to do. You want it long and skinny if you're making a mug. If you're making a mask, you would turn it halfway and probably make it wider, unless you want a really skinny mask. So I'm still working to make this long and skinny, because guess what, guys? The longer it is and skinnier it is, this is going to end up looking like this, right? This is the circumference. So now what I do, now that I have it the thickness that it needs to be, I actually take these wood slots here, and I'm going to, with my knife, I'm going to just keep it along the edge, and I'm going to cut a nice straight edge. I'm cutting off the rounded sides, but I don't want to cut off too much. This part's tricky, so you want to make sure you don't cut off too much, because then you're messing with the height of your mug. See? The height of your mug would be messed with. Same thing down here. You can start to, about here is where I would want to cut off the edge.
Can you use the extra pieces for like details?
We will, yeah, we'll use the extra pieces for the details. Good question. Oops, that one crooked. Thanks for being so quiet, guys. All right, so then now I rotate it around. See the same thickness, even? And then in order to attach it, guys, I have to do something called scoring and slipping. And that is when I use the needle tool and a cup of water, which you guys are going to share with the kids around you at your table. So I get it wet, I pat, 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 and I take the needle tool and I actually start scratching into it. Scratching in. And I kind of go different directions. And cross-hatching essentially. Yeah. Same thing on this side. You want to make sure you're not over-handling the clay. See how I release that? I did that on purpose because I didn't want the two to collapse on each other. Now that I'm keeping it upright, guys, I have to make sure that I no longer set it back down on its side. I need to keep it upright the remainder of the time, or else you know what will happen? It'll start to collapse on itself, and it'll become very weak. And what I'm doing here is I'm smoothing with my finger and my fingernail, and I'm smoothing the outside first, and at the same time I'm smoothing the inside. I'm constantly supporting the outside and the inside at the same time. I'm using the back of my fingernail to scrape up the top. If you can't reach down in, I use the back of the tool, and I scrape up with the back of the tool to keep it smooth. And if it's still a crack there and it still bothers you, pull an extra chunk of your clay from your extra piece there, and you can, since it's a thin amount, you don't have to worry about scoring and slipping it on. You can just merely support it with a little extra clay. And it won't change anything, it'll just thicken it up. Okay, so now that I've done this, oops, keep it supported. You don't want to do anything to it without supporting it on the other direction. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Get this out of the way. If that's struggling for you, like to flatten that out, just kind of pound it. That's fine. And again, you don't really want it too thick, so you use the same wood slots as you had before. I don't know if I have enough wood slots for everybody, so we have to share with a neighbor. All right, so look here. These are air pockets. Do you see those little bubbles there? I didn't wedge it very well. I did it too fast. If that happens, pop them and smooth them out. Okay, now that I've done that, I get the wood slots out of the way. I set this right over top. Okay? I take my needle tool and I trace it very slowly. I think I just drew on my thing. I'm just tracing. I'm not trying to cut through it. I'm just tracing it. Well, that seems interesting. And then I just start cutting with my knife. Do not use the needle tool to cut because, yeah, it'll break. And that happened last year when I was on maternity leave, and I had to buy a whole new, brand new set, and I was really sad about that. So again, that's extra. I can use it later. Now I take my needle tool and I scratch around the outside edges. I'm scoring. This is called scoring.
It's kind of like
Score, 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 score. And then we take water. And water is acting as a slip. Slip is just something to help make it act like it is a, yeah, like glue or Velcro, however you want to think of it.
it makes it sticky.
Yeah, it makes it stick. And,
Velcro.
yeah, Velcro,
Yeah,
like two
Velcro?
pieces.
There's like this hooks
So
that
get
one
it
thing
wet,
goes
set it on top.
together.
You see I did both sides? If you do not score and slip, you might think, oh, it's stuck on here just fine. I'm okay, I'm cool, it's stuck. As soon as the heat hits it in the kiln,
It's gonna.
it'll
Wait,
fall
won't
apart.
that make air bubbles?
What? What? Make it fall?
The scratch.
It will not.
No, because the clay sets into place.
Yeah.
Well,
Very good thinking,
Right.
Lauren. So then, this is how it should look at the end of class. But watch, be careful not to lean it on its side. When you guys go to turn it in, over there, you will want to hold it with two hands like this, one under and one on the side.